Mayank sir, please begin.
Okay, sir. Good morning to all. Uh, behalf of Parul University, I am welcoming to our expert, Professor Rosni Parikh Madam, students of Parul University, and other viewers who are joining with us in this webinars. My name is Mayank Vyas. I am a lecturer in Parul Institute of Engineering and Technology, Diploma Studies. Today we are presenting webinar on power electronics and its real applications, which is presented by Professor Rosni Parikh Madam. She having the 50 years of teaching experience and she has been working as a lecturer in RC Technical Institute from 2016 in the field of power electronics. So now without further delay, I invite to Professor Rosni Parikh Madam. So ma'am, please share your valuable thought with us. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, all of you. Good
Good
morning,
morning, ma'am.
everyone. Actually, I would like to thank to HOD of the Electrical Department, Parul University, Hetal Madam, for inviting me and give me opportunity to share my knowledge with all the PU students. I have been in a teaching professor since last 15 years, and recently I am working as a lecturer in a RC Technical Institute. Um, Now today's topic of webinar is power electronics and real application. Is my voice is audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait a minute. Uh,
મેમ કોઈ પણ એક માઇક તમારું સ્ટાર્ટ રાખો, બીજું
okay,
ઓફ કરી દો.
okay, okay. Now my screen is visible.
यस मैम,
Okay,
बट उसका जो वॉइस है ना वो ऑफ कर दो आप.
okay,
उसका एक माइक माइक आएगा, वो माइक आप जिससे बोल रहे हो वही ऑन रखो, बाकी का ऑफ कर दो.
okay, okay. Now, now am I audible?
यस मैम, यू आर ऑडिबल.
Okay, okay. And echo sound is there?
नो नो.
Okay, okay. Now let's start with the topic of the webinar, that is the power electronics and its real application. Now see, power electronics, that is the one branch of electrical engineering which deals with the high voltage, high current and high power applications with the use of a, or with the application of a solid state devices for the control and conversion of a electrical power. So basically power electronics, that is the wide field. So it is impossible to cover up all the power electronics topic in a 1 hour of a webinar, but I have tried my best to share an overview of the power electronics and its real application. Now let's start. It is the overview of a power electronics. It means power electronics, that is the what? As I said that power electronics, that is the application of a electronic switching devices or a solid state devices for the efficient conversion and control of a electrical power. Means for the conversion like a AC to DC or a DC to AC or a AC to AC or a DC to DC, we are using a power converter. So that is called a conversion. And for controlling, we are nowadays we are using a power electronics devices. So right now, when and where the electrical power is exist, all the applications are a power electronics based. So it is impossible to list out all the applications of a power electronics nowadays, because each and everywhere we are using a power electronics. Now let I introduce something basic about the power electronics devices, and then we will go to the its real application. Now what is the basics of power electronics devices? So power semiconductor devices, that is the semiconductor devices. And what is the semiconductor? As we know that semiconductor, that is the not a pure conductor or a not a pure insulator. So it is called a semiconductor. Now in a semiconductor, there is a two types of a, here a classification of semiconductor is listed. The semiconductor, that is the two type, as we know that the intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. Now what is the intrinsic semiconductor? Intrinsic means the pure semiconductor, which have exact 4 valence electron in outermost orbit. Means what? In a pure semiconductor, for example, if we take the silicon, then 14 numbers are there, atomic mass number. So in a outermost orbit, 4 valence electrons are there. Same way in a germanium, 32 are there. So in a outermost orbit, 4 valence electrons are there. So sharing with the neighboring atoms, all the atoms are bond with the covalent bond. So in a pure condition, there are no free electron. That's why to make it to make it a conductive, we always add the impurities to make a semiconductor, to make the current flow. That is called a extrinsic semiconductor. So in an intrinsic semiconductor, we can say that the pure semiconductor, it doesn't allow the flow of a current in a normal condition. And extrinsic means what? Okay, after adding the impurity, we make the pure semiconductor to allow the flow of a current. That is called a extrinsic semiconductor. Now see, extrinsic semiconductor and the process of adding the impurity, that is called a doping. So extrinsic semiconductor are two types, that is the P type and the N type. Now how the P type semiconductor material is formed? So as we noted, by adding the trivalent impurity. Now what is the trivalent impurity? Trivalent impurity means which having a 3 valence electron in a outermost orbit. Suppose a gallium, boron, indium and aluminium, which having a 3 valence electron in outermost orbit. So one vacant place is created there, that is known as the hole. So if the number of holes are depend on the numbers of impurities atom. So by adding the trivalent impurities, we can form the p-type semiconductor material. And by adding the pentavalent impurities, what is the pentavalent impurities? Pentavalent impurities means which having a 5 valence electron in a outermost orbit. Suppose the phosphorus, arsenic, that having a 5 valence electron in a outermost orbit. So what will happen? Okay, we have a one additional electron in a outermost orbit. That's why in n-type semiconductor material, free electrons are there, and that free electrons, that is depends on the numbers of the impurities atom. So that is the overview of a semiconductor. Okay, what is the semiconductor? Intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic, that is the pure semiconductor. Pure semiconductor doesn't allow the flow of a current in any condition. And to make it conductive, you have to add the impurities. And the process of adding the impurities, that is known as the doping process. And the impurities are two types, that is the trivalent and pentavalent. Trivalent, which having a 3 valence electron in the outermost orbit, and by adding the trivalent impurities, we can form the p-type semiconductor. And pentavalent means which having a 5 valence electron in the outermost orbit, and by adding the pentavalent impurities, we can form the n-type semiconductor material. Now all the power semiconductor devices, or you can say all the semiconductor devices, are made by the either a p-type material or a n-type material. Now this is the classifications of a power electronics devices. Okay, what are the classifications? So we can classify it into 3 categories as listed below: uncontrolled device, half controlled device and fully controlled device. Now, what is the uncontrolled device? So you can say that a diode that is the PN junction diode. So in a PN junction diode, only anode and cathode is there. There is a no control terminal. Suppose you can say that when anode is connected to the positive terminal of battery and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of battery, then diode becomes the forward bias and allows the flow of a current from anode to cathode. So when you are going to off the diode, you have to reverse bias the diode. Means either reverse the polarity of a battery or either reverse the diode polarity. So by there is a no control terminal, so it is called a uncontrolled device. There is a no control terminal to control the diode. When it's a forward bias, it's a on, and when it is a reverse bias, it is a off. Now, what is the half control? Half control means all the thyristor family. Thyristor family, you can say that a silicon control rectifier, then the triac, then MCTs, then GTO, all are belongs from the half control device. Now, what is the half control? So there is always a one control terminal to turn on the thyristor. Means if we can say a SCR, silicon controlled rectifier, then in that there is a one gate terminal is there, and gate terminal is act as the control terminal. You have to give the gate current to the gate terminal to turn on the SCR. And once the SCR is turned on, gate loses the control over the SCR. Means it is automatically off by the power circuit. So to turn on the SCR or to turn on the thyristor family devices, you need the control signal that is called a half control. You have only a control over the turning on, not on the turn off. Now, fully controlled device means what? That is the MOSFET, or you can say IGBTs, or you can say transistor, which having means control terminal is required to turn on and turn off the device. That is called a fully controlled device. So you can classify power electronics devices as like that: uncontrolled, half control, and fully controlled. Uncontrolled means only diodes are there, power diodes. Then in a half control, all the thyristor family members are there. Okay, gate is required to turn on the device. And once it is a turn on, there is a no need to be turned off by the control signal. Means control signal loses the control over the device. And for fully control, you need control signal to make the turn on and throughout the turn off process. Now next, see, this is the basics of power semiconductor devices. Okay, how many types of power semiconductor devices are there? So see here, diodes are there. Diode means the power diodes, because we are talking about the power electronics, and power electronics is always dealing with the high current and high voltage application. So here are not a normal PN junction diode, because PN junction diode is always we are using with the low power application. Here a power diodes are there, and in a power diodes classifications are as below: general purpose diode, then high speed, and then the Schottky diodes. Now in a thyristor family, as we listed that SCR is there, then the GTU, gate turn off thyristor is there, then the GATT, that is the gate assisted turn off thyristor, then the SIT, then RCT, reverse control thyristor, light activated SCR, then MCT, MOS control thyristor, and the triac. All are from the thyristor family. And here the transistor are there, in which we are using the MOSFET IGBTs. So diodes, that is the, as I said earlier, diodes, that is the uncontrolled devices. Only anode and cathodes are there. There is a no control terminals are there. Here a thyristor, it is called semi-control, means the control signal is required to turn on the device. And transistor means the control signal is required to turn on and turn off the devices. Now, see, power electronics, basically, what is the principle of a power electronic system? So, principle is that it is work on a switching principle of the power semiconductor devices. Okay, in power semiconductor devices, if you are using any SCR or any MOSFET, then only two modes are there. Either it is a fully on or either it is a fully off. There is a no linear modes are there. Means suppose when you are giving suppose when you are going to use the diode, and for example anode is connected to the positive terminal of battery, and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of battery. Then diode becomes the forward bias and acts as the closed switch. And suppose if you reverse the polarity of a battery, then what will happen? Diode becomes the reverse bias and it acts as the open switch. Means only two states are there, conducting state and the blocking state. There is a no means power switches or power semiconductor devices never operates in a linear mode. Now let's see some overview of a silicon controlled rectifier, because in a most of the power electronic applications we are using the rectifiers, controlled rectifiers and the inverters. So you have to know, okay, what is the silicon controlled rectifier, because the silicon controlled rectifier SCR is one of the most used device among the thyristor family. So what is the silicon controlled rectifier? So silicon controlled rectifier means, okay, there are a four layer alternate PN PN, means four layer PN PN, and the three terminals are there. One terminal is carried out from the outer P layer, that is the anode. One terminal is carried out from the outer N layer, that is the cathode, and here one terminal is carried out from the inner P layer, that is the gate. So that is the symbol of a SCR, anode, cathode and gate. Now one condition is that if suppose anode is connected to the positive terminal of battery and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of battery, then SCR is the forward bias. But if you are not giving a gate pulse, means if gate is absent, then what will happen? SCR remains the off. So to turn on the SCR, two conditions must be satisfied. One is that, okay, always SCR must be a forward bias, means anode is connected, must be connected the positive terminal of battery and cathode is connected negative terminal of battery. So SCR must be a forward bias, and another condition is positive gate pulse is applied at a gate terminal. Positive gate pulse should be applied at the gate terminal to turn on the SCR. Now see, it is the VI characteristics of a SCR where I is floated on the y-axis and V is floated on the x-axis. Now in a first quadrant, as shown in the graph, see here from 0 to VBO, it is called a forward blocking state. In a when anode is connected to the positive terminal of battery and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of battery, but gate is absent, or you can say if gate is insufficient to turn on the SCR, then it is called a forward blocking state. In a forward blocking state, your SCR is a forward bias but still not conducting. Why? Because the gate is absent, or you can say that your gate is not sufficient to make the SCR turn on. Or another word, you can say that your forward applying voltage, anode cathode voltage is less than the breakover voltage. So at that time, a very small current is flowing due to the thermally generated minorities carrier, that is into a milliampere. Now see here a dotted line is shown, that is called a transition state. Transition state means what? Okay, when you are forward applying anode cathode voltage is exceed the breakover voltage, then what will happen? Suddenly your reverse bias junction. Here a reverse bias junction J2 is a breakdown and SCR starts to conduct from anode to cathode. So it is called a transition state. Transition means that suddenly your SCR turns from transit from off state to on state. That is called a transition state, and it is in a fractions of second. At that time, your gate is absent. So we are generally avoid to turn on the SCR by applying a forward anode to cathode voltage which is exceed the breakover voltage. And third state, that is the on state, forward conduction state. Conduction state means what? Okay, suppose if you are triggering the SCR, then your SCR is suddenly starts to conduct and your anode to cathode current is suddenly rise and your voltage drop is down. Then it is called a conduction state. So in a forward characteristic, there are three states are there: forward blocking, then transition, and forward conduction. Hope you understood. The forward blocking means your SCR is a forward bias, but your gate is absent, or you can say your gate is insufficient to turn on the SCR, means your SCR is not conducting mode. Then transition means what? When your forward applied voltage anode to cathode voltage is exceed the breakover voltage. So what will happen? Your reverse bias junction J2 is breakdown, and your SCR is suddenly starts to conduct. So it is the state from off to on. And conduction state means what? Your SCR starts to conduct, and your anode to cathode current suddenly rise, and there is a drop down of your voltage. So it is the forward characteristic, and it is the reverse characteristic. In a reverse condition, its characteristic is exactly similar to the normal PN junction diode. So in a reverse bias, what will happen? Your junction J1 and J3 are a reverse bias when anode is connected to the negative terminal of battery and cathode is connected to the positive terminal of battery. Then your SCR is a reverse bias. And in a reverse bias condition, SCR is exactly similar to the PN junction diode. And it is called a VBR, that is the reverse braking voltage. Means you are in a reverse condition, you are applying a voltage that is exceed the VBR, then your SCR, there is a breakdown of SCR, and its reverse current is suddenly rise. So this is the basics of the silicon control rectifier, and most of the applications of the SCR, that is into the rectifier, inverter, UPS, battery charger, we are using the SCR. So you should know, okay, what is the SCR and what is the basics of SCR, because nowadays in a power electronics, most of the devices are using. Suppose if you are talking about the rectifier, then the inverter, then most of devices are formed by the using the SCR. And now in a SCR, two terms are there here: holding current and latching current. Latching current means what? Okay, latching current, that is the anode current, the minimum anode current, or you can say the positive anode current, which is required to turn on or to latch the SCR into the on state. That is called a latching current. And what is the holding current? Holding current means to hold into the on condition. That is called a holding current. And always latching current is slightly greater than the holding current. Now see, how many types of the methods to turn on the SCR? There are so many methods to turn on the SCR, like the DVDT triggering, then the forward voltage triggering, then the gate triggering, light triggering, temperature triggering. But among five methods, we are using the gate triggering. That is the best method. So triggering means what? The method which we are using to turn on the SCR. So here a simple one example is given. See here one diagram here a SCR is there. Then SCR is connected. See, anode is connected to the positive terminal of battery and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of battery. Now here, suppose when you give the gate pulse to the SCR, then your SCR becomes on. Means when you this switch push on condition, then what will happen? Your gate is triggered by the current and gate pulse, and SCR becomes the on. And here it is operated on the AC same way. When you are giving the gate, here a diode, here a triggering is through the diode, and R2 for limiting the current. So when gate is triggered, at that time your SCR becomes the on, and your input voltages appear across the SCR. Now see here in a diagram, here a sinusoidal waveform is there, and here a triggering angle, that is the 90. So suppose if you are trigger late, then you will get the less output. If you are trigger at the earlier state, then you will get the higher output. So output is depends on the firing angle. Firing angle means what? At the angle at which you are going to give the trigger pulse to the gate. That is called a firing angle. You can see here in a characteristics also. See here IG1, IG2 and IG3. IG1, that is the greater than the IG2 is greater than the IG3. Means the gate pulse. When you are going to give the gate pulse, if you are giving to the gate pulse at earlier, then you will get the higher output, means the more output. And if you are giving the gate pulse at a later position, then what will happen? Okay, you will get the lesser output. So output may vary by varying the firing angle of the SCR. So that's why we can control the output by changing the firing angle of the SCR. And always firing angle is varies from 0 to 180 degree. Keep one thing in a mind that SCR, that is the unidirectional device. Unidirectional means what? SCR can allow the flow of a current from anode to cathode only when it is a forward bias. In a reverse bias condition, SCR is always remains the off. So SCR is a unidirectional device, and you can say another thing that SCR is a current controlled device. Means the gate current is controlled the SCR. Now, see, here are applications of a power semiconductor devices. As I said that a power semiconductor devices, that is the three types, like a uncontrolled, semi-controlled and a fully controlled. Uncontrolled in thyristor families are there, and among the thyristor family, SCR is the most widely used. Same way in a fully controlled, we are using the IGBTs or a power MOSFET. So, what are the applications of the power semiconductor devices, whether it is a SCR or a power MOSFET, or you can say the IGBTs? So, see in a diagram, you can see that so many applications are there. AC to AC means here a inverter or inverter. What is the AC to AC converter? I will say you later on. Same way AC to DC, then DC to DC, then renewable energy conversion, and for the power quality control. So, these all are the devices which are using the power semiconductor devices, or you can say that these all devices are formed by using the power semiconductor devices. Now, here are types of a power converters are given. Okay, what are the power converters? See, power converter basically converts from AC to DC, or a say DC to DC, or a DC to AC, or a AC to AC. Means a power converter which are basically used in a most of application of a power electronic system. So see here AC to DC converter. AC to DC converter basically further classified into two types, diode rectifier and phase controlled rectifier. Now DC to DC converter, now DC to AC converter, and AC to AC converter. Now see, what is the AC to DC converter? Simply AC to DC means to convert the AC supply into the DC supply. That is popularly known as the rectifier. So rectifier is further classified into two categories, diode rectifier and phase control rectifier. Now, diode rectifier means what? Okay, it is the simply you can say that diode are used to form the rectifier, and diode is an uncontrolled device. Means the diode has not a control terminal, so you can't control the output. You will get the fixed DC output. So it is called a diode rectifier. And what is the phase control rectifier? Suppose you want a variable DC at the output side, then you have to replace the diode by a semi-controlled device, that is the either by the SCR or by the fully controlled device, that is the MOSFET. So suppose your phase control rectifier means what? Instead of using the diode, you are using the SCR to form the rectifier. So in a SCR, by changing the firing angle, you will get the variable DC at the output side. So rectifier is a nothing. It is a static device which converts a AC into a DC. Now what is the DC to DC converter? DC to DC converter means the chopper. Now chopper, why we need the chopper? So see, in a rectifier you will get the output, that is the DC. Now in a DC to DC chopper you can get the variable DC at the output side. So that is the DC to DC converter. Now what is the DC to AC converter? DC to AC converters are popularly known as the inverters. Now inverter means what? Okay, your input, that is the DC supply, and your output, that is the AC supply. Now AC to AC converter, so that is further classified into the cycloconverter and AC voltage regulator. Cycloconverter means that you will get the variable and a variable voltage and variable frequency output at the output side. So these all are the basic types of a power converter which we are going to apply into the power electronic system. Now see, as I discussed, okay, what are the rectifiers? Rectifier, that is the static device to convert the AC into the DC. As per the configuration, we are classified into the two categories: half wave and a full wave. And in a full wave, there is a two types: center tap and the bridge rectifier. See here, in a half wave rectifier, here all the rectifiers are the diode rectifier. We are using a diode, so it is called. You will get the fixed output, fixed DC output at the output side. You can't vary the output. So half wave rectifier means only one diode we are using. So you can only rectifying only half cycle at the output side, and during the negative half cycle, zero output is there. Same way center tap, we are using the transformer which having a center tapping. So by forming means by using a two diode, we are forming the center tap full wave rectifier. So you will get the full rectifying output. And in a bridge rectifier, we are using a four diode to form a bridge. So instead of using a diode, if you are using a SCR, then you will get the controlled output at the output side. So this is the rectifier. Now see here a full wave controlled rectifier. Okay, how the control rectifier is a work. So see here, as I said that rectifier means input that is the pure AC, means input that is the AC supply. Here a transformer is there, center tap transformer is there, and two SCR are used. So you will get the full DC at the output side, means rectifying DC. So during the positive half cycle, what will happen? Your upper winding end, that is the positive, and lower, that is the negative. So here a positive and here a negative. So what will happen? Your SCR1 anode is connected to the positive. So SCR1 becomes the forward bias and current starts to flow from upper half, means from upper SCR to the load to the your upper winding. So this way complete the cycle, and during the positive half cycle, your SCR anode is gets the negative terminal. So what will happen? Your SCR2 remains the off in that condition. So you will get the output. So see here alpha, that is the firing angle, and you can change the output by varying the firing angle as I said earlier. Now during the negative half cycle, your conducting SCR1 gets the negative, so it is automatically turned off, and your SCR2 anode gets the positive, so it is automatically turned on. So here your now current starts to flow from here, but the direction of current flowing through the load resistor, that is the same, positive to negative. So your output, that is like that, not a sine wave, but in the same direction, unidirection. So you will get the rectifying output, but it is called not a pure DC, it is called a pulsating DC. Means so many ripples are there. So you have to connect the capacitor, or you can say filter circuit, to get the regulated DC or a smooth DC at the output side. So it is for the example, okay, how the full wave control rectifier is a work. You can use the bridge rectifier also. In that we are using the four diodes, or you can say the four SCRs are there. Now DC to AC power converter. Now what is the DC to AC power converter? So that is popularly known as the inverter, as I said, okay, which convert the DC supply into the AC supply. And here for example, I have put one three-phase bridge rectifier. Now in a three-phase, what will happen? Three phases are there. So I want a controlled output. So for that I am using a SCR. You can also put the you can also use the IGBTs or a MOSFET too. So see here for a three phase, here six SCRs are there. T1 and T4 for the R phase, or T3 and T6 for the Y phase, and T5 and T2 for the here B phase. So for the three phases, we are using a 6 thyristor or a 6 SCR, and here diodes for the negative half cycle, we are using a diode to allow the flash. So same way, here input, that is the DC supply, and we are controlling a three-phase load, that is the three-phase induction motor or a NE. So say, this is the inverter, and working, that is exactly similar. Okay, during suppose here a positive and here a negative, then your T1 becomes a forward bias. Means at a time in a three-phase bridge inverter, there are two types of inverters are there, 120-degree conduction and 180-degree conduction. Means what? Okay, 120 means each diode or each SCR is going to conduct for a 120 degree, or you can say in a 180 degree. So each diode or each SCR which we are using, that is conductor for a 180 degree, and after that it is automatically a turn off. Now if I say that, okay, SCR is a unidirectional device and there is a control terminal to turn on the SCR. But there are a different working position of SCR when it is work on a AC and when it is work on a DC. Suppose if I say that, okay, SCR is connected to the DC, then what will happen? Okay, once the SCR is a turn on by applying a gate pulse, then it remains the on until it is a off by any external circuit, that is called a commutation circuit. Means when you are going to use the SCR on a DC supply, then what will happen? You have to use the commutation circuit to turn off the SCR. Why? Because in a DC, once your SCR is a turn on by applying a gate pulse, then your SCR is a turn on, and in a DC there is a no negative half cycle is there. Means you are a holding current. Once it is latched into the on condition, then what will happen? Your current remains the same. So your SCR still remains the on until it is the off by the commutation circuit. So while you are going to operate on a DC supply, there is a commutation circuit always be there to turn off the SCR. So commutation means what? A commutation, that is the process of turning off the SCR while it is used on the DC supply. But in a AC, there is a doesn't need to use the commutation circuit. Why? Because in a AC, always there is a positive half cycle and a negative half cycle is there. So during the positive half cycle, when you are going to fire the SCR, it is a turn on. But during the negative half cycle, your anode current is automatically going to be a zero and your SCR is going to be a off. So naturally it is going to be a off. So each and every positive half cycle, you have to give the gate pulse to turn on the SCR. So that is the basic difference while you are going to use the SCR on a AC or an a DC. So see here a DC, that is the input and you will get the output, that is the AC, and we are using SCR to form the inverter. So SCR, that is the half control device, means by changing the firing angle you can change the output, then you will get the variable AC voltage at the output side. And here that is the waveform, as I said that okay, 180 degree conduction, 120 degree conduction. So this is the waveform for the 180 degree conduction. 180 degree means that each SCR is going to be conduct for a 180 degree. So at that time, three thyristors are in a conduction mode. So here there is a sequence. Now how to we know that thyristor 1, 5 and 6 are going to be turned off. So three phase means what? Three sinusoidal waveforms are there. So at a 60 degrees of interval, you have to fire. So at a 0 degree, then after you can say that you have to know that at a 0 degree, suppose thyristor from the R phase thyristor T1. So first of all, draw the waveform at a 60 degree of interval R by B, and then from the waveform you should know that which thyristors are going to be turned on from which phase, and then you will get output, and you can see the output in a CRO also. In a you can say multi-sim software is available to perform all the practicals, and in a multi-sim we can see the waveforms too. Now, what are the advantages of power electronic system? Why we are adopting the power electronic system nowadays? So there are so many advantages. That's why we are switching now on a power electronic system. First, that is the high efficiency due to the low losses in the power semiconductor devices. If you are opted for the power electronics devices to form the any to control the any drives, then what will happen? Okay, efficiency, that is the high, and losses always that is the low. Then reliability, that is the high. Then long life and require the less maintenance. And always you can say that okay, there is a absence of moving part. You can suppose you are using a rectifier, then there is a no rotating parts are there. Means it is a static device. Same way inverter, that is a static device. Same way you can say chopper or a cycloconverter, all are the static device. So there is a no moving part. So always maintenance is a less. Then small size, compact inner size, less weight, then the lower installation cost. So all are so many. See, it is the advantages listed here. So many advantages are there. So we are going to switching for the power electronic system. Now, it is the block diagram of a power electronics based system. Now it is the application based. Okay, what are the applications of a power electronic system and what is the basic working condition block diagram of a power electronics based system. So in a power electronics based system, we are using a power converter. As I said in an earlier slide that okay, four types of power converters are there, either a AC to DC, DC to AC, AC to AC or a DC to DC. So first of all, input is given to the power converter and then power converter output is given to the load. Now see here, always there is a one closed loop system is we are going to opted for the stabilize the system. So it is called a feedback system and feedback system is given to the controller which control the your load. Means two types of systems are there, open loop system and a closed loop system. Open loop means what? Okay, there is a no feedback signal is taken out from the output side. Means the only input is a given to the power converter and output of the power converter is drive the load. That is called a open loop. And in a closed loop system, always there is a feedback is carried out from the output side of a power converter and which is given back to the power converter. So that is for a more stabilized system to control the load. So always we are going to opt for the closed loop power control system. See, you can see that okay, why the power electronics. So input source may be a AC, maybe a DC, maybe unregulated, which is given to the power electronics converter, either a controlled rectifier or you can say inverter or you can say cycloconverter for the VFD drive or you can say a chopper. And then the output ideally losses are less which is driven the load. Now always feedback system is given to the control system. So it is called a closed loop system for the stabilize the load or stabilize the system. Now, what are the applications of a power electronics? So, there are lots of applications of the power electronics, but here I have listed so many industrial applications because in our industries nowadays all these systems are based on the power electronics. So, basically, first that is the used in a electric drive, DC drive and the AC drive, then used in the induction heating, then used on SMPS switch mode power supply or you can say UPS2, then static VR compensator, electric welding, HVDC transmission and thyristor tap changer, all are the industrial application. Now let's discuss some about the drives. Okay, what are the drives? Electric drive means what? What is the DC drives and what is the AC drive? So drive means what? Okay, drive means okay, when a power converter output drives any mechanical load, then it is called a drive. When a power converter drives the DC motor, then it is called a DC drive. And when power converters drives the AC load, then it is called a AC drive. Means in other word, you can say that okay, when a power converter is control the speed of a DC motor, then it is called a DC drive. And when power converter output drives the mechanical load, and that is the AC, suppose a three-phase induction motor. So to control the speed of an induction motor, we are using a power converter output to drive the induction motor, then it is called a AC drive. So this is the what are the DC drive? As I said that a DC drive is basically a DC motor speed control method that supplies the voltage to the motor to operate at a desired load. Means you can control the speed of a DC motor by using the solid state device and by using or you can say by using the power converter. So, what is the exactly working principle? Then you can say by the you can see by the this block diagram. See here, DC motor is there. Here and here a field winding is there. Now basically speed control means the speed of a DC motor can be changed or can be varied by the two method, armature method and the field control method. Here armature voltage is varied by the rectifier, means here we are using a controlled rectifier. So as I said that in a controlled rectifier discussed earlier, so what is a rectifier? Input that is always a AC and output that is always a DC. And control rectifier means why we are opted for the control rectifier, because in a control rectifier we are using the SCR. So by changing the firing angle, you may vary the output voltage, means output DC voltage, which is applied to the DC motor. So this way you can change the voltage, armature voltage, and by changing the armature voltage, you can change the speed of the DC motor, means you can control the DC motor speed. Same way here a field winding is there, and field winding is separately excited by the another thyristor. So by changing the firing angle of a thyristor, you can change the field current too. So here are two methods are there, okay, armature control and field control. But both are controlled by using the converter, means the power converter. We are using a rectifier. So always supplied unit is there, that is the three phase, and here a three phase rectifier is there, and you can opted for the single phase too. So input that is the AC and output that is the DC. So rectifier convert your AC supply into the DC, but it is a controlled DC, and by changing the or by varying the firing angle, you can vary the speed of a DC motor. Now see, here I have opted for the always the drive opts for the closed loop system, means what your DC motor is a means DC motor shaft is a coupled with the tacho generator. Tacho generator means what, okay, which generate, suppose your motor speed is goes high, then what will happen, tacho generator generate the more voltage, and that voltage is given feedback to here a speed regulation and firing circuit. Means what, is suppose your suddenly your motor rotate at a higher speed, then what will happen, your tacho generator is mechanical coupled with the DC motor. So your tacho generator generate the more voltage, and that voltage is always compared with the reference voltage or a refer voltage, and error signal is generated, and according to error signal your firing angle is varied, and here a output is given, that is to stabilize the motor speed. So always feedback is there to stabilize the system, so we are using the closed loop system. Same way current feedback is also taken to control the armature current. See, this is the diagram for the control the speed. Here a DC motor, and we are using this is the single phase. So we are using a fourth thyristor to control the output of a DC motor. So input that is the AC, and output that is the controller DC output, which is given to the armature of the motor, and here field is excited. So that's this way you can change the speed of a motor by using the power converter. Now, what is the AC drive? AC drive means what? Okay, simply, as I said that in a DC drive, power converter drives the mechanical load, that is the DC motor. And here a AC drive, in a AC drive, simply DC motor is replaced by a AC motor. So when a power converter drives any AC load, AC mechanical load, like a three-phase induction motor or any, then it is called a AC drive. In a AC drive, we are using same way. What are the block diagram of AC drive? So see here a three-phase input is there AC. Here a converter is there. Converter means a rectifier is there. Which converter three-phase AC supplied into a controlled this means a variable DC output voltage, because power converter is using a SCR to get the control voltage at the output side, not a fixed DC but a variable DC supply. Then it is given to be a DC bus, and then it is again given to the inverter, because here we are going to drive the AC motor. So input should be a AC. So here a rectifier, then DC bus, and then inverter. Inverter again convert the your DC into the AC. So, and same way, as I said, that closed loop system is there, control logics are there. So, see, here waveforms are there. Okay, input that is the three phase, so it is the sinusoidal waveform. Output that is the pulsating DC, and here choppers are there, or you can say chopper and filter circuits are there. Then the filter DC is there, and that filter DC is given to the input of the inverter, and at the output side of inverter you will get the variable AC voltage, and that variable AC voltage is given to the three phase motor, and by changing the firing angle of SCR you can change the output, and you can vary the speed of the motor. So this is the block diagram of a AC drive to understand about the how the AC drive is works. Now, these are the industrial application as discussed I in an earlier slide. AC drive, DC drive, then SMPS, UPS, induction heating, and so many. But nowadays, power electronics applications in all the field in daily life too. So these all are the real applications of the power electronics. See, in our daily life, in a domestic applications, we are using the AC, then freeze, then UP computer, and all having a power electronics. If you are using a mixer, then also electronics device are there. So in each and every applications are using a power electronics device. So for our daily life, vacuum cleaner, UPS, computer, AC, all are using a solid state devices. Same way in a suppose if I say that the utility system, so in a smart grid pack devices, then the HVDC transmission. HVDC transmission means what? High voltage DC transmission means transmit the power from a one place to another place, but in a HVDC at the high voltage. So what will happen? Okay, you're sending and receiving end. In a sending side we are using rectifier, so which convert AC into DC, then transmitted through the DC, and then again a receiving side we are placing a one unit, that is the inverter, which convert the DC. Yeah, we are using again a inverter which convert the DC into the AC. So at there we are using a power converter too. And what are the benefits of a HVDC system that you know already? Why we are opted for the HVDC. Now same way in a renewable energy sources power converters we are using, that is the wind system or a solar system. In a solar system we have seen that there is a solar panels are there, PV cells are there. So solar cells are always generate. Suppose if I say that okay, when the sun rays are fall on the solar panel, then what will happen? Okay, yeah, it generates output, that is the DC, and that DC is, and we are always using the AC supply. So that DC is converted into the AC by using the inverter, and then it is matched with the grid system. So all that control are by the power electronics devices. Now these are the industrial application. In an industrial application, most of the applications are using AC and DC drive. So these are the rolling mills, elevators, pumps, cement mills, construction machineries. All the industries are using the drives, and all drives are controlled by the power converter. Nowadays, recent scenario that is also in a automobiles and the traction system. You know that okay, now we are using the electric bus or a electric vehicle. So in an electric vehicle are also applications of a power electronics. Means nowadays where the electrical power is exists at that place each and every applications are using a power electronic devices. So it is impossible to list out all the applications. These all are the various applications. So as I said that our daily life, if we look around ourselves, then lots of power electronic applications such as a fan regulator, light dimmer, AC, then induction cooking, then emergency light, computers, vacuum cleaner, UPS, battery charger, each and every are made by the power electronics devices. Same way, if you are looking automobile and the traction system, then also in a lift, trolley, hybrid electric vehicle, subway, all are using the power electronics devices. Same way in an industrial, we are rolling mill, textile, cement, then welding, arc furnace, then the emergency lights and heating application. We are using the power electronic. Means all the in all areas power electronic systems are there. Then defense and aerospace power supplies in a aircraft, because in a aircraft, satellite or a space shuttles, we need the stabilized power. And always a power electronic system that is compact in a size and light in a weight. That's why we are using that. Then in a renewable energy, as I said, that the solar cell generate the DC power, and for general application, we always use the AC power. So always electric converter is used to convert the DC into the AC, and to match with the grid frequency, we are using also a cyclo converter or a drive through. Then utility system, HVDC transmission, VAR compensation, static circuit breaker, generator exciters, then PAX devices, smart grids, all are using the power electronics devices. And now, as I said that nowadays we are using electrified vehicles, EV vehicles are there. Then in a EV vehicles, what will happen? Your internal combustion engines are replaced by the electrified engines. And in that, there is always a charging point are there. So see, it is the EV vehicles, means EV car is there. In that, one charging point is there, which charges the which is charged by the HP battery charger, and which drives the means which is coupled. So it is drive the traction motor. So traction inverter is there, which is coupled with the traction motor. So and here a LV battery and APM is there. So this is the recent applications of a power electronics devices, or you can say a power converter. So these all are the applications. So hope you understood and like my content. So what are the power electronics and what are its real application? As I said that the power electronics is a one branch. So it is impossible to explain in a 1 hour, but I have tried my best to give you an overview about the power electronics, how the power electronics devices means what, and which material are used to form the power electronics devices, and what are the applications of a power electronics, and what are the areas of power electronics, in which area we are going to opt for the power electronic system and why. So most of all overview I have given and hope you understood and like my content. Now, is there any question?
Ma'am, I will share the WhatsApp number, but there will be a no response or no questions around here.
Okay.
So now we conclude this session. First of all, thank you to Rosni Madam for giving your valuable time, and which is really helpful to our students to get the knowledge regarding the power electronics and its applications. So thank you, Rosni Madam.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Hetal, madam. As I said that it's a really pleasure of mine to share my experience with you all. And one thing I want to say that I have started my teaching profession from the Parul University, or you can say Parul Institute in 2007. So it is the base of my life, from where I have started my teaching career, and right now I am in a government. So also it's my pleasure to share my experience with you all, and really thankful to HOD of the Electrical Department of Parul University, means Parul Institute of Engineering and Technology, Hetal Madam, for inviting me. And thanks a lot everyone for your responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay.
Now you can leave. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.